Guys, it's Jordan. So today I'm gonna do a story time on how Shein tried to scam me. So this happened last week. So I have to give you guys a little backstory. So last week I was hanging out with one of my homegirls. We like went to Sally's, like Walmart. Like we were just doing some chill shit, like just hanging out. So I get a notification that my package was delivered from USPS. And I'm like, oh, okay, like let's go back to my house. So we go back to my house and we go to the mailbox and I'm like, where's my package at? That shit's not there. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's in my house, because I was like, maybe my sister checked the mail because nobody was home. So I'm like, oh, they probably just checked the mail and left. So I come to my house, I check the table, I check my sister's room, my mom's room, my room. I don't see this package. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I call my older sister and I'm like, hey, did you check the mail? And she's like, yeah, there was a package, but it was for one of my younger sisters. And I was like, what does she have a package coming to the house for? And she's like, oh, she had got a pair of shoes or something. So I'm like, well, did you check the mail and there was my package there? And she's like, no, your package wasn't there. And I'm like, what the heck? So at this point, I'm irritated because in the package, it was like some stuff for my birthday outfit. So I'm I was just like, okay, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. So I'm trying to call USPS. And if you've ever called them, it's like an automated service. Like, it's extremely hard to get in contact with the representative because the fucking automated lady is an idiot. She's a dimwit. She doesn't, literally, I was like, representative, did you say you need no more help? Are you serious? Are you serious? I'm like, bro, what? So I'm like, and I'm with my homegirl, so she's like watching me and I'm like yelling at my phone. I'm like, customer fucking service. Like, I'm going crazy because I'm so irritated because I have been trying to get with a customer service representative for like 20 minutes. So I'm like screaming at my phone and I'm just like, I'm so mad. So I hang up and I'm like, I call my older sister and I'm like, I'm about to go up to USPS and show my fucking ass in a second. Like, if you don't know what that means I was about to go up and show out. Like, I was pissed off. I'm like, I'm finna go over there and show out. And my sister's like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, bro, I can't find my package. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they said it was delivered and it wasn't. And it would have been, I wouldn't have been as mad if the customer service representative line, like, wasn't so bullshit. But it just sucks. So I was irritated. So my sister's like, go up there. And I'm like, okay. So me and the homegirl get in the car. And we drive. This bitch drives to UPS. And I'm like, no, baby. USPS. So we drove to USPS, right? And we go inside and we're standing in this long ass line. So I asked somebody in front of me, I'm like, oh, is this the line to speak to the people at the counter? She's like, no, this is the line for like mail keys and shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go to the counter. I'm like, and I'm trying to be calm, even though I'm already so, like, I'm so pissed off, but I'm trying to be calm. So I'm like, hi, ma'am, I had a package delivered and I was just wondering if you could help me track the package because I don't think it arrived at my house. And she tells me the line for that's over there, just like that. And I said, well, you're not doing anything. And she was like, the line for that is over there. And I said, well, what do you get paid to do? Sit on your fucking ass? And she was like, the line's over there. So I go to the line and I'm like, everybody in this bitch is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm just ignorant because I'm mad at this point. So I'm just like, everybody in here is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm just so mad. And so we're standing in the line for probably like 45 minutes. I had calmed down. Like, I had time to chill out. So I calmed down from my like fucking, like, about to go crazy. I was about to go crazy in there. So I calmed down and we go up to the window. It was like a blue door. And first of all, they only had one fucking lady in there. Oh, and there was a lady at the front. The reason it took so long was because there was this lady at the front being like, yeah, so I bought a new house and my packages are getting delivered to my old house. And the lady's like, do you still have access to the old house? Yeah, but the packages aren't there. Like, literally for like 45 fucking minutes, because there was 3 people in front of me. So there was her and 2 other people. The 2 other people, it took like 5 minutes, literally. Like, I don't know what they were doing. So finally I get up to the window and I tell the lady, like, hey, so I ordered a package. On the website that I ordered the package from, it says that it hasn't been delivered, but on the USPS website, it says it has been delivered. I was like, I think I know where it's at, because when we typed it in, there was only one address in my city that's similar to mine. So I'm like, I think I know where it is, but I just want to know if it was delivered to that zip code. So she's like, okay, give me the tracking number. So I give her the tracking number and she looked at the zip code. She's like, this is like 45 minutes away from us. And I'm like, exactly. Like, this is not my zip code. I was like, I live down the street. She's like, okay, hold on, I'll be back. And she's like, and then she comes back and she's like, I don't know how they did it, but they dropped this package off 45 minutes away. She's like, our trucks don't even run that far. So she's like, either the delivery guy was just so stupid or the company printed the wrong label. And I'm like, which is crazy because my sisters have ordered from Shein before. So I'm like, how did they print the wrong label and it only fucks up on my package? Like, my sisters have ordered from there, my mom. I'm like, what the fuck? So at this point, I'm really irritated. So I asked her, I was like, okay. And I tell her what address I think it went to. And she's like, well, I can't really tell you if it went to somebody's, like, if I went to that exact address. And I just said, okay, well, that is an address for a house, not the post office, right? Because when you search it up, it shows a building, but it's like, yeah. So I'm like, that's a house, not the post office, right? She's like, yes, that is a house, and that is in the postal code that it was shipped to. And she's like, that's really all I can say. And I was like, okay. So she's like, okay, I'm going to give you the number to the post office in that postal code, and go ahead and call this number and see if they can go get the package and forward it to you, or if they can send it back to this post office. And I'm like, okay. So at that point, I'm calm. I'm like, okay, we found a solution. It's fine. So me and my homegirl are walking out. We're hungry. We were in there for like an hour. We're so fucking irritated. She's like, okay, girl, call the post office. Because it was like, at this point, it was like 4 o'clock. The post office closed at 5. So she's like, call the post office before it closes so we can go get it. So I call the post office. This post office is currently closed. This office is currently closed. Whatever they say. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so mad. So she's like, okay, like, what the fuck? She's like, the lady just told you to call that number. How are they closed? I'm like, exactly. How are they closed? So I look at my homegirl. My homegirl looks at me, and I'm like, well, let's go get my fucking package. She's like, you want to go to the house that we think it's at? We don't even know if it's at this house. We don't know who lives here. But I'm like, yeah, I want to get it. And she's like, okay. So we stopped and got food first. And I was like, bro, if we don't get to their house before 5 and that post office really is closed, like, I'm going to be so, like, irritated, because at that point, we couldn't even go to the post office if we get there after 5. But we stopped and we got food, and we're just talking shit the whole way over to the house. It's like, what the fuck? It's like 35, 45 minutes away. So we're just like, both like, bro, what the fuck? And it's like it's going towards like, just like, you're like leaving our part of the city. Like, you're just going into a whole nother like part of the city, basically. So I'm like, bro, like, this is like mad irritating. There's hella cops where we were going. They don't know how to fucking drive over there. It's just like, you just don't want to be over there. So we're over there, and we're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, there's just people everywhere. Like, there's hella cars, there's hella traffic. We're like, bro, oh my God. So we get to the neighborhood that it's in, and we cannot find the house number. We can't find the house number. It doesn't exist. We rode around that whole neighborhood. The house number that they put, that's similar to mine, that they put on the package, doesn't exist. It didn't exist. So I'm like, bro. So we're leaving the neighborhood, and I see this lady checking her mail, and she pulls out a package, and she's like, so I yell out the window, is that a package for Jordan? And then I say my last name. I'm like, is that a package for Jordan? She's like, oh my God, yeah, like, what the fuck? She's like, I was like wondering like who this is. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Like, I literally like drove around all day looking for that package. She's like, that's so crazy, like perfect timing, whatever. I get the package. I look on the package. They completely had crossed my address out and wrote hers on the package, even though it had my name on it. They completely crossed my address out and wrote hers. And the lady told me the people at the post office don't put the labels on. So it was Shein. They completely crossed my address out and put the ladies on there. So I'm like, bro, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So yeah, and then I emailed them, like, because I have other packages coming from there. So I emailed them, nothing back. None of the tracking numbers for my other packages are like working. But that's okay. When I dispute those charges with the bank, who's really gonna have the last laugh? But yeah, that's just my story time on how Shein tried to scam me, or is currently trying to scam me, whatever the fuck they think they're doing. But yeah, follow my Instagram at jordanairiyah, and my TikTok and my Twitter at Jordan from Vegas, and have a good day. Bye.